Welcome to In This Season podcast, where we unpack the most empowering conversations, have exclusive and inspirational interviews, and host special events. Join Tammy, some call her Butterfly, and explore life's purpose by learning how to embrace each season of your life with confidence, strength, and purpose. Whether you're blooming in the spring, or shining in the summer, or embracing change in the fall, or gracefully hibernating in the winter, get ready to be inspired. Join us right here on this season of In This Season podcast with your host, the Butterfly. It's time, no matter what season it is.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, beautiful people. Come on in, let's feed these ducks this morning. It's a nice little chill going on. To groove on. Y'all know how we do it for the regulars. Let me know you're out there. Say good morning. Good morning, B. How's it going?
Good morning, Mama. Going well. How you doing, sweetie?
Good. Ready to feed these ducks. I got up and went in the war room, y'all. It was time for war. All right, y'all take a morning and let's get this barbecue started. Let's get it started. All right, who do we have here? Miss Brenda Davis. Good everything, everyone. It's another day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. How about that? Miss Brenda, you just confirmed my morning. Been walking around here saying that all morning. We're going to let the ducks feed me. I'm going to feed the ducks.
Good morning, Miss Brenda.
Glad. All right, Brandon. How's it going over there?
Going well.
Yeah.
Doing real well. Yeah. Just woke up, got my prayer in, got some coffee brewing. I'm not in that the third room back there, but I'm in the kitchen. Got baby girl is sleeping back there, so.
Oh.
Yeah.
How did she sleep last night?
She woke up a little bit. She had her night terrors a little bit, and then I put her in the other room. So I took her out of her bunk bed and took her to the other room, and she slept better back there. I put on a little white noise, and so she's back there asleep right now. So I didn't want to disturb her and wake her up and put her out. So I just got everything and relocated. So now I'm in the kitchen.
All right, no worries. We're gonna be quick this morning. I have to be somewhere by 8, so let me just put that disclosure on out there. Yeah, I have to, and it's not far, so I can get there if I get off by 7:30, I can be there in 15 minutes. So let's get it going. I want to do tell. We said we'd do this today. Did you turn your phone off for a minute? I did last night. I texted y'all, Brandon, so you know about it, but. Y'all, and it felt like I was releasing something that was controlling me. Like I don't like turn it off like I did last night, but every now and then I just kind of detach from it. But it just felt like I felt free. I felt like I wasn't on anybody's time or space, so it just worked for me. So maybe once a day or by a certain time at night, that's what I need to do. My phone used to go to do not disturb at a certain time every evening. So maybe I'll go back to that, and you can set it to where people, that the people that you want to have contact, to be able to contact you, they can. But I think I may try that a little bit sooner than later, because I think it used to be around 9 or 10 that it would do that. Automatically, but since my
I remember that.
Since my update on the phone, everything is happening to my phone, so I don't know, but I think I'll try that again and maybe like make it like 7, where I shut down, where I just let the day go, and be in my own space and be present,
right.
For myself and the people in my life and my heart. Just be present, allowing family to get through for sure. But all that other stuff, it can wait. So,
when was the last time you did that?
What I did last night? I can't remember. I can't remember.
See, my situation is my phone will die, and then I'll be like, you know what? Let's have a funeral for it. Let's let's let it be and let it stay. Um, so I've enjoyed that at times where, or just leaving my phone away for a minute.
Mhm.
When me and my wife have certain conversations, we just leave the phone in the back room. Because these phones are very
Mm.
they're surveilling. It seems there's too much that we think, and then I see it on the phone.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not like I've said it openly. Um, it's not like I've said it openly, but I've thought it, and then it's come to be. Like I've seen an advertisement from something that I thought. I'm like, do they have a mind map? Is there? I didn't say anything. I didn't text anything. I didn't write it on some other Google app. I didn't search it, but it popped up. So
Mhm.
when things like that happen, I'm like, wait a minute, something's awry. So maybe it's the algorithm, but I'm trying to beat the algorithm and not let the algorithm beat me. So
Right.
every
Right.
now and then, you got to shut it down. But Mom, I know you got to get up out of here, baby. So let's jump back. Let's jump into the show.
All right. Let's do it.
All right, y'all. Well, thank y'all for joining us and letting us be a part of your morning routine. We are a part of the In This Season podcast with your host, the Butterfly, and myself, your co-host, Brandon. We are reading through Daily Motivations for African American Success. Here's the book right here by Dennis Kimbro. There's that gentleman right there. 1992 publication, but it applies every single day. Every time I read it, there's something that applies today, and it doesn't seem like a book that was written 30 years ago, right? So, yeah, let's jump into it, man. A little bit more about this book. Get the book if you can. If you're a part of this show, or if you're coming through here every now and then, at least get the book. If you can't attend every single morning at 7 a.m., go back and watch them later on, or just get the book and read it yourself. But Daily Motivations for African American Success will help you focus on the thoughts, attitudes, and deeds that will lead to the achievement of your true goals. In 365 short, powerful motivations, one for each day of the year, Dennis Kimbro, author of the popular Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice, leads us to discover how to use the present moment and our own gifts to transcend labels, cultivate a positive attitude, become wise enough to know when to say yes and when to say no, and how to look inward for answers to life's challenges. So each motivation begins with words of wisdom from such distinguished and celebrated African Americans as Malcolm X, Marion Wright Elderman, Whoopi Goldberg, Charlene Hunter Galt, Bill Cosby, Carl Rowan, Mother Hale, Reverend Leon Sullivan, and hundreds of others. This treasure trove of practical inspiration will give you fresh encouragement every day of the year. What it teaches will last you a lifetime. All right.
All
So
right.
anything else from you, Mom, before we jump into it?
I just want to ask the people, if you turned your phone off yesterday, let us know.
Yeah.
If you did, and if you didn't, did you just forget, or could you not bring yourself to do it? So if you listened yesterday, we need an answer from you. Did you do it? And what happened? If you didn't, why? Did you forget, or it just wasn't your thing, or you couldn't bring yourself to do it? Which is it?
Yeah,
Good
let us
morning.
know in the comments. We'll be watching. We'll be watching in the comments to see who
Right.
enters it.
Right. Good morning, Auntie Richetta. She says, good morning, butterfly nephews and
What's
everyone
up,
in
Auntie? Cool. Let's get into it. So today is October the 16th, on our 259th day of the In This Season podcast. And the title is Learning Disabled. Learning Disabled. And James Baldwin, the writer, an amazing writer. If you haven't read a James Baldwin paper or book, please do. James Baldwin said, "It took me 10 years to write my first book. I learned more about this business when I was stumbling than you could ever imagine." Again, it took me 10 years to write my first book. I learned more about this business when I was stumbling than you could ever imagine.
Mhm.
Speaking before a Houston, Texas high school, all-pro quarterback Warren Moon made the following point: "There are a lot of ways to become a failure, but never taking a chance is the most successful." There's something to be gained from just about everything, even fail. Once there was a little girl who was trying to learn to walk, but her mother wouldn't let her fall down. Every time she took a step and she was about to fall, her mother would rush behind her and catch her. It quickly became apparent that she wouldn't learn if she wasn't permitted to fall. But the child was too young to correct her mother's ways. The mother thought she was helping her daughter, when in fact she was inhibiting the learning process. Allowing the little girl to fall would have shown trust in the child, trust that she could master the process and walk like everyone else. Sometimes we resemble this mother, protecting each other from life's important lessons. We have to stop. This doesn't mean that we allow someone to get seriously hurt, but that we permit each other the freedom to learn and grow in individual ways. And so our affirmation for the day that is meant to lead us to more success is, I will allow others to learn at their own pace.
Mm.
Again, I will allow others to learn at their own pace. Over to you, Mom. What do you think about this? Learning disabled.
I like it. I like it. I like it. Um, I agree. For me, as I look back, you guys, I do realize that um, I learned the most about myself in life. I learned the most about myself first during my struggles. Now, hear me. I say now that I look back in that time, you don't really get it. But this is talking about our little babies, and as I relate to the baby, I think about me being a baby growing, but not a baby, right? A grown person who is transforming my life, and God being this mother, right? And allowing me to go through some things so that I could grow through them. I also think it's interesting that it's a mother is used, um, because I remember a story I was reading about the difference in the parenting styles of mothers and fathers, and it used the slide that you go to the park and the kids are. I may have shared this before. Mother and father is there, and the kid is going up the stairs to slide down, and mom is very protective, wants to stand behind and make sure he or she doesn't fall, and the daddy is going, go up there, go do it, and basically if you fall and break your arm, we'll take you to the doctor. Not saying it, but just go, right? So um it brings me back to, I will allow others to learn at their own pace, as long as learning is enabled, right? Not disabled, right? We got to turn it on. And sometimes we don't want to grow, you guys. We don't want to go through anything so that we can grow, because you learn more about yourself when you allow yourself to do that, right? When you just say, like Miss Brenda said, this is the day that the Lord has made. I'm going to rejoice, and I'm going to be glad in it, right? And step back, allow people to do the same. But it goes back to this: if you're not learning, you're not going to be okay with my learning or not learning. You're off centered, as we talked about yesterday, because it all starts with you. What you do for you and how you do your life is what you will do for me and how you will try to do my life, right? So if you are not learning, if learning is not enabled in your radar, you're not going to even see me as learning. And then you're not going to let me learn at my own pace. You're going to want to tell me to do this, do this, do this, or why won't you do this? And there's a difference in giving advice and wanting me to do it your way. Because your way may not be God's way for me, but we're going the same direction, right? There's a difference between letting someone learn at their own pace and judging. There's a difference. There's a difference than giving advice and letting people go and learn at their own pace, right? So I like this one, Brandon. There's a lot that I'm getting from it as far as the mother being the one that they talk about rather than a father. Um, and oftentimes we do resemble this mother in the lives of the ones that we love. This used to be me in a deep way. I also like where it talks about allowing the little girl to fall would have shown trust in the child. Trust that she could master the process and walk like everyone else. And sometimes I found myself, not say we, I found myself crippling people, right? Wanting to protect them too much. My love for people, wanting them to know this building is on fire. Don't go in there. Now, still a good thing, but sometimes you just have to tell them one time the building's on fire, but I ain't going to keep trying to hold you from going in there, right? Just thought about Pastor William Young on that one, because I was talking about Pastor William Young, the pastor of the Healing Center, God rest his soul, but how, and at that time I thought, I don't know about this, how firm he is. He'll give it to you. He may get the plate, put the food on it, put the fork on it, but he ain't gonna come around and make sure you eat. Some things you got to do on your own. So that to me is I will allow others to learn at their own pace. Because if I'll let you eat at your own pace. If I fix the plate, right? Cook the food, fix the plate, give you all that you need right there. And I got to keep coming to remind you to eat and you're sitting there, right? It's a difference. So um, I like this one, Brandon. I like it.
Thanks, Mom. I had to take you off of mute
Oh,
there
you're
for,
okay.
for a
You're
little
okay.
bit. I think this is great too. Learning disabled. It's like learning with what they call a handicap, right? Um, and then you can only play with the guardrails and bowling for so long before people start looking at you like, hey man, you playing with the bumpers too much, right? Uh, and in that regard, like even with your children, I like to, even when you go bowling with kids, to not play with the rails, right? But that can seem harsh, right? But I guarantee you, after 3 or 4 times of them going, they're gonna figure out a way to keep it in the center. But if we let them, if their first introduction to the game is that there are guardrails there, then they'll start to form habits of bumping their ball against the side, right? Now the balance to that is, oh, well, they're kids, they don't have the control to be able to guide the ball all the way down. Um, and I get that. So I think there's a balance between what I would do and probably what my wife would do, right? And somewhere in between that, I think is the perfect way, or the straight path. I'm to pull one way, she's to pull the other, and then in the middle and through that, the great compromise, right? We find some balance, right? Like if it was only my way, then it might inhibit the children in their confidence. You know, maybe trusting them too much, maybe letting them bump their head too much to where they start to fear um, doing something new or learning a new skill, right? Or executing something with confidence, right?
Mhm.
But if we don't allow them to make mistakes, then they can't do what I call fail forward. So there's something that I do in my jujitsu classes and my grappling classes where I won't teach a skill first. I'll just put my students in the positions. So let's say it's a back mount where someone is riding on your back and their legs are wrapped around your waist and inside of your legs. So they're basically on top of your back, holding your back while you're on the ground. I will put them in that position and say, okay, you have 2 minutes to do your best to get out. And person on their back, you have 2 minutes to hold them there as best as you can without them being able to move. Go. And people be like, wait a minute, well, we don't know exactly what to do in this position yet. You haven't taught us anything. But that's the point. You want to fail forward. And so I found that people learn better in my jujitsu classes by trying to figure it out on their own first, exhausting all of the options that they can see, right? Exhausting all of the methods that they can themselves come up with in their own mind. And then after all of those are exhausted, some may be working more than others, some working less than others. They can figure out what works best for them. They can find out things about themselves personally, about the way their body moves, about their own flexibility, about their strength in this position, right? About where they're balancing their weight or leverage. They learn it better in learning about themselves and how they move first and making the mistakes first. And then I take them out after those couple of minutes and both people get a chance. Then we reconvene into the center of the mat. And I say, well, this is how you do it. These are the proven strategies of how to maintain a back mount. These are the proven strategies of how to get out of a back mount. And I've noticed that people learn and retain this information better when they're able to try it on their own first, right? So instead of, and I've said this on the show before, instead of ready, aim, fire, I say ready, fire, then aim. And so it's also been shown that people who are shooting, for example, to see how many times they can hit the target, when they would sit and try to aim more and more and more before their first shot, they would not only miss more often, but they would waste time and they would end up getting less shots off that actually hit the target. So say if you have a certain amount of time in order to hit this target as many times as you can and as close as you can, some people would sit and aim for too long and only hit the target a few number of times. Whereas what was more successful was when the person just quickly aimed, fired, and then adjusted his aim based on where he hit the target. So there is some utility in failing and then correcting yourself and then going again. And I think this also mirrors us in life. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, because when you're afraid to make mistakes, you start to hesitate, right? You don't execute on windows of opportunity that seem to close. And as people who love and want others to be successful that are around us and the relationships we have in our friends, our families, give good advice, but don't handicap them, right? Give the advice, but don't stop them from bumping their head a little bit. Stop them from, something terrible happening to them. Stop them from fall, like we read, what was it, yesterday or the day before, with the artist that threw the paint on the mural that they were working on because his younger artist partner was about to fall, right? Don't sit there and be like, well, you're just gonna have to fall today, the guy could have perished. But at the same time, don't handicap them to the point to where you don't allow them to create the art, right? To where you create the art themselves, because then they don't have anything to be proud of. So we saw in that situation where the younger artist was so confident, right? He was so proud, but he was taking a step back and looking at his work and forgetting about the dangers of his environment. And that is similar to how I think children look at it. So, or how they would respond to it. They can have too much confidence and too much freedom. Oh yeah, go ahead and go play outside in the front yard, at 4 years old, and not realize just how fast those cars are coming down the street. So you have to have some guardrails, and that's our job as parents, as loved ones, as elders, as more experienced individuals, whether it be professional, personal, or familial. We have that responsibility to give good advice if we have it, but we don't have the responsibility to make sure someone does it, right? Give them their own independence. My head doesn't look right on anyone else's shoulders, and yours doesn't either. So giving advice isn't replacing someone else. So as you go about loving people, try to find that balance between giving advice versus giving a harsh critique. Learn that balance between handicapping someone and teaching someone, or caring for someone in a way to where they can learn, but allow people to fail forward, because this, as a is a human thing, right? Once we make mistakes, we're very good at correcting our mistakes. All right, and I could say a million more examples from me and my kids, and my wife playing the matching game last night. You remember this, Mom?
Mm-hmm.
Playing the
Love
matching
it.
game.
Yeah.
I was convinced that, me or my wife would win, but my youngest son won. My son won. You know,
Oh, look.
he won. I mean, he really won too. I mean, he beat us bad. He beat us bad. I had two matches the whole thing.
I'm serious. It beat us
Yeah,
bad.
Kitali, she had two matches the whole time, and I think Tupac had like 7 or 9 or something like that,
Oh,
right?
Paul.
Yeah, and so I'm sitting there, and he's younger, so he doesn't quite know all of the things that Kitali knows, that my daughter knows, as far as the math and even you know all kinds of things. But so at some points I'm like, oh man, is he on the same track as she was? And then last night his memory is just like amazing. So we all have our different strengths and our different abilities, right, and our different potentialities. And if I were judging Tupac by Quetzal's standard, right, I could handicap him. Or in the sense of her being the older sister, sometimes she tries to do it for him when he's putting on his shoe. No, I'll do it. If he has a little frustration.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I'll stop my wife and I'll say, no, don't help him, or don't help her. Let them do it. Let them have the frustration of not getting it right 2, 3, 4 times. If it's not hurting them physically or destroying their confidence mentally, then let them fail forward. And once they correct it, they'll never forget it. But if I correct it, they'll always come to me for the correction. All right. So that's
Yeah.
all I have.
So, Brandon, you said your head doesn't look good on someone else's body. Is that
It
right?
don't it don't fit.
It doesn't fit.
My head too big, you see.
So, life. Let's think of that as life. My life doesn't fit yours. We have life, but my life doesn't fit your life, and your life doesn't fit my life. We fit if we allow people the space to grow. Right? I'll leave with this, Brandon. I used to have my curling irons hooked up forever, forever, ever, ever. Brandon, don't touch that. Brandon, don't touch that as a little kid. He just wanted to touch it, right? Well, one day I didn't get there in time enough to say, don't touch it. And he touched it and he got burnt. But I never had to say it again. I never had to tell him. I could put it on and just walk out the room if I wanted to, and he wouldn't touch it because he's now felt the effects of that. So just think about it in that way. My life does not fit your life, but we fit. You are my other me, right? You are me, right? I am your keeper and you are mine, right? But I'm not you. And God created you. He created me, but we all have our very own purpose. And we all have a way to do that, right? That's just for us. So all right, let's get out of here. Miss Brenda, I did put a question out there for you, just saying, how did you feel in having the phone in another room yesterday? And when is the last time that you were able to put the phone or did put the phone in another room so that you could not hear it? And I did not say this, but why did you choose to just put it in another room rather than silencing it or turning it off? Just curious about that. You can let us know tomorrow. We're going to jump on off of here.
Because
But I'd
them
like
phones are our babies.
Yeah, I'd like to know why. Because she says I didn't turn my phone off, but I did put it in another room. Just curious about that. So, all right, you guys are gonna get out of here. Brandon, go ahead and do your thing.
All right, we'll do.
Mike, good morning to you as well. I don't know if we said that, but good morning to you.
There's a real anxiety sometimes when people let their phones die. They feel like it's a pet or something, and not picking on Miss Brenda. I'm just messing with you, Miss Brenda. But sometimes it's difficult because those phones feel like an extension of ourselves. That if I let that die, then it's like a part of me or something. My access, my interest, my plug-in to the rest of humanity and the world the World Wide Web that we're all connected to is now gone. So maybe I'm losing a part of my connections. Am I my connections, or am I myself? So I just, I'm speaking to myself first. I'm sure Miss Brenda did that with the full intention of being away from her phone. But I was just thinking about my own self, that sometimes when the phone dies, there's an anxiety when I see it low on battery. Like, oh my goodness, it's gonna die. What if somebody needs me? But after it actually dies, I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of glad it did.
Yeah. You feel different.
So
Feel different.
you really do. You feel lighter. You feel,
Yeah. Yeah.
and not to mention, guys, there's a bunch of radiation coming from our phones. So a little bit of advice, if you're don't sleep next to your charger. Even if it's plugged into the wall and the phone isn't on it, don't sleep next to your charger. And definitely don't sleep with the phone charging next to you, because a lot of radiation will come next to you. And if you can, don't talk with the phone next to your face. Use a speakerphone, or have some type of device. But even those have radiation. So we should really be careful, because we could be pushing towards a type of epidemic, in a sense, or I don't know, pandemic of in the future. I think we'll all have. I think many people, almost, I won't claim that, will have some type of trouble or some type of mal effect from constant use of our phones, Wi-Fi, computers, and radiation. So just be careful about that, and be cognizant of that as you buy your next phone, and try not to buy too many, guys, because these phones are good enough. All right, but thank y'all so much for rocking with us today. We're gonna get up out of here. Our title was Leaving Disabled. Our quote came from James Baldwin, and it says, "It took me 10 years to write my first book. I learned more about this business when I was stumbling than you ever could imagine." He learned more about stumbling and making mistakes than you could ever imagine. And our affirmation for today is, I will allow others to learn at their own pace. So go out there, y'all, and allow others to learn at their own pace. Don't handicap them. Let them keep it moving. Give good advice. Keep it pushing. Take care, y'all. Peace.